Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to Sales Chatter, the logistics podcast where we aim to help 10,000 reps hit a million GP with our tips and tricks every single day. I'm your co host, Ryan, aka the Logistics Monk. With me is my good friend, President and CEO of RGTX Logistics Solutions, the bodacious cowboy, Jeff Dickinson. How you doing this Monday, Jeff?
Good, my man. Great weekend. Hopefully, you had a great weekend as well. We're starting off our fourth week of empowering women into logistics. We have a great lineup of guests this week. You know what? Let's get into it. Let's go.
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's 4 weeks already. We've been having so much fun. The valuable lessons that both you and I have taken away and we've given to the audience as well. But we're going to keep the momentum going. And, we love to introduce our audience to thinkers, leaders who can provoke thought and make a small shift in how you perceive your ideas. I know that our guest today is such a huge advocate for women in trucking, so you're going to enjoy listening to her. This morning's guest is going to be Eileen Dabrowski. She's currently serves as the Director of Learning, Developing, and Marketing for ReedTMS Logistics, a family-owned company that operates asset-based third-party logistics solutions. Dabrowski has also been in the transportation industry since 2016, and she's been doing all kind of hats. That's the one thing that Jeff, we've both kind of learned that strong women in logistics and bringing even new people, they wear a lot of hats, and she does things from like arranging the curriculum to new hires and just development of everything, overseeing the marketing team and all that fun stuff. And you thought that was enough, but she also spearheads the philanthropy initiatives at ReedTMS Logistics, works to improve company culture and morale. She believes that mentorship and women taking the time to build each other's up, not by tearing each other down, is the way to success. So I know we're going to hit it off right away because I know she has a couple dogs. So we want to welcome this morning Eileen Dabrowski to Sales Chatter. We're so happy to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. So where were you at this morning? I believe you're coming out of Florida somewhere.
Yes, I have the privilege of being able to work from Tampa, Florida. So, there's lots of things that I could complain about. Our weather for 12 months of the year is probably not one of them. I moved here for school and I just kind of never left. And Tampa is an awesome place for anybody who's not been here before.
That is amazing. I know Jeff and I would definitely love to be in Florida right now, other than Toronto and New Jersey. So, first question that we always kind of get into: how did logistics find you, Eileen?
It's a great question. Had you asked me even as early 2016 if I ever thought I would end up in trucking, the answer would have been like, no, right? I can't drive a truck. And what I can tell you is me making the transition from higher education to logistics was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I know this series is focused on women in logistics. I technically didn't apply for my job here. They kind of found me via LinkedIn. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was curious enough that I came to the interview. And my first interview was with this guy that kind of is very buff looking and just looks like a personal trainer. And I'm really into fitness and health and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, this guy's great. At the end of my interview, and they had initially hired me to do a corporate training position, right? So I was curious enough coming from higher ed to here. And at the end of my interview, I asked this guy what he did at the company. And this is one of those situations where you want to put your entire foot into your mouth, because he was like, well, I guess I'm the CEO. And I was like, okay, let me quit my life right now. Because he always introduces himself, hi, I'm Jason with Reed, not I'm Jason Reed. Right. And we redid the website in 2017. So there wasn't a lot of photos of Jason Reed in 2016. But he convinced me to make the jump, to kind of transition. And what I found, teaching and developing humans into the best version of themselves is my passion. And I can do that the same whether I'm in higher education or trucking or logistics or supply chain. And what I can also tell you, for anybody considering a job, a career in trucking, logistics, supply chain, you will always have a job. And when I go into elementaries, middle schools, high schools, colleges, and universities, I kind of speak to that. I've never felt more secure in a job or an industry than I do in trucking.
I love that you said that, and all those points are amazing. And one thing that you said specifically that I really, really want to touch on is when you met the owner, right? And he introduced himself as a CEO. And when I was doing a little bit of research, I saw that one of their favorite things that they like to put on record is that employees are your greatest asset within a company, and you guys lead by that, lead by example. You're someone who's heavily involved in women in trucking. I know we have a lot of people in the audience that are coming today to watch that. I know. I think last year was your fifth time at the conference, and you've seen just the scores of people just coming. Right? Maybe it would have been a smaller room. To I believe last year was close to over 1,700 people in the audience, men and women, looking to change the face of trucking with their energy and passion. For someone who hasn't been to one of those conferences yet, and I'm definitely going to be hitting up this year, what has these events done for yourself?
Oh my gosh, I can't even. I hope you have lots of time because that's how far I could go on with this. First of all, the ability to connect with like minded humans is a profound experience. Um, to me, I try to surround myself with people who challenge me to be better, inspire me to be better, and who also are going to kind of give me that gut check if I'm doing something that maybe I didn't realize was landing some way. And I don't think words can truly articulate what a conference like the Women in Trucking Accelerate conference is, because I've never felt so safe, so welcome. All humans, regardless of where you come from, what language you speak, who you choose to love, where you were born, right? What economic status you come from. Everybody just welcomes everybody with open arms. And it's one of those places where we're not scared to build each other up. And you mentioned that in the intro to me. I think regardless of who we are and how we move through the world, we have to celebrate the accomplishments of other humans. And we should be right there cheering them on. And I think sometimes people are kind of scared to do that because either they're in an environment where it's like you got to do what you got to do to survive. And that conference is the total opposite of that. Let's share best practice. Let's talk about how we can better create inclusive environments for all employees, all truck drivers, so that, because think about it, you mentioned our mission statement. If we don't take care of our employees, why are they going to take care of our business? And that is such a critical piece. You can have the best business model, the best plans, the best scalability, but if your team is not sound and well and feeling supported, they're going to do your business a disservice. So for those of you who haven't been, I highly recommend it. Great opportunity to network. And guys, this includes you too. Because while obviously it's, a much higher percentage of, those who identify as women being in presence there, we need all people to kind of work together to kind of change the face and make it inclusive for all people. So guys, we love to see you there. Come cheer us on, support each other, all of that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I definitely support all women that are out there, and I think that we're lapsing in many different areas of the logistics industry, and I've seen it over the decades, unfortunately. But I like what you said, and I want you to elaborate a little bit more. What makes ReedTMS so special with their engagement, regarding their employees, especially women who work for you? If you could elaborate just a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah, so I think a couple things make us really unique. I don't have a lot of family in Tampa. I'm going to be honest with you and very transparent. The humans that I'm fortunate enough to get to work with every day, they have become my family. I can tell you the name of every human who works in our company. I can tell you about them as a human, and that matters. And I think, some people find that jobs are very transient in nature. But to me, if I can go somewhere and I can put my roots in and I can get to know the team so that I can say, hey, how did your kids' dance recital go? How was your senior softball game? right? That like camaraderie and rapport. And I know this podcast is typically focused on sales. The same goes to sales, right?
Mhm.
The more you get to know your clients, the more you get to know the people you talk to, the shippers, the receivers, all of that, the better situated you are because you have that basic human element together. How can I support you? I want to grow people's business so that I can grow mine, and I want to do it organically. And our people are our single greatest asset. So we do a lot to kind of promote employee health and wellness. We have this amazing culture club that we have here. Yes, it's named after the 80s band. I know I just dated myself quite a bit there. But it has a representative from every department or function in our company. And what's neat about that is they serve as the voice. What does your team want to do from a health and well-being standpoint? What organizations or philanthropic organizations do you want to give back to? Because I think one of the things that we get lost in as humans is even if we have a lot of kind of stuff going on in our life, and let's be honest, life is not easy right now. It's a whole new world, right? We've not seen rates like we've seen. We've not seen, just the general cost of living going up the way it is. You got to take care of each other. So we do one wellness-based activity each month and one philanthropic cause or activity, and that's led by that culture club. Employees at the desk level, what do you want to do to give back? Because it's not fair for me to sit in a room and say, here's what we're doing, or I think we should, right? That's the one-sided. So it's got to be a collective effort. And I think the other thing about incorporating that philanthropic kind of mindset to an organization, we all have stuff going on in our life, and sometimes life stomps us. Sometimes trucking stomps us, right? That's a whole separate show, probably. But I think getting that perspective and helping others in need kind of gives you that gut check. I have a roof over my head if I'm fortunate enough to have that. I ate today. You know what I mean? I can take my family on adventures, and stuff like that is so incredibly grounding for us as human beings that I think it better translates to making us more productive, grateful humans, if that makes sense.
No, it does. The takeaway there is that collaboration and getting that culture that's needed to support your employees is highly critical, especially, this year in a way that the economy is going, shipments is falling off. People are kind of scared sitting there whether or not they're going to have their job tomorrow. You read about all these layoffs all the time. With the women that work for you, what does Reed Transport or TMS do for the women, to protect that diversity? How many women work for Reed TMS right now?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer this, and I apologize if my voice goes. I'm going to answer this a couple different ways. So on the office side, we are almost at equity between men and women, which is really profound in our industry. Yes. Now, what I would love to see us as we kind of get better, and integrate more, to me, it's about who is the best human for the role. But we have to go into that with a DEI mindset. So are we marketing to the correct audience? Are we advertising, openings? Are we promoting growth internally? And I think that's one of the things that if we can connect people to what matters to them, and also let them know, if you get hired in to do X job, that doesn't always mean that that's your highest and best use, or that is what makes your heart happy, or right where you're the most fulfilled. So I think having a fluid kind of growth plan, and then let's say we have somebody who comes in an account management role, there should still be growth in that role, right? So you just don't want to be an account manager forever. Maybe you want to be a lead account manager. Maybe you want to be a strategic account manager. Maybe you want to grow from an account manager into another role. And I think the second people feel like they have hit their ceiling, that's where we see a lot of. And the other thing that's really nice about our team, we cheer each other on. So if somebody gets a promotion, it's not like salty, right? Or if somebody experienced that, like, I'm a little bit salty, it should have been me, I think they gut check it really quick, and they're like, yes, another woman or another human has been promoted, and they kind of, this is great, because if that human gets promoted, maybe I can also get promoted. So it's keeping track of that mindset. And then the other thing is, things from inclusive language in your employee handbook, inclusive language in your policy. You'll notice I use the word human a lot.
Yes.
That's very intentional, because the thing is, we're all human beings at the most basic level, and none of those things that sometimes people lose sight of and focus on, what makes us different, we're all human. And I think that's the common thread that weaves us together. And it's pretty hard to offend people. Knock on wood, I'm not saying, right, a lot of people, it's very hard to create a truly inclusive environment for all. But if we treat each other, and my kind of mindset, and actually one of my employees actually made me a shirt that just says, be kind, be Eileen. Can you imagine if we lived in a world where everyone just woke up in the morning and said, you know what, I'm going to try to do my best to be a good human. And I think, if I see somebody having a bad day, I try to pull them off the floor and say, hey, I know I can tell you're not you today. What can we do to support you? How can we, make this better for you? It could be they're going through something that they haven't shared with somebody. It could just be they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. We're humans. And again, it's that basic thread that throws us together. So I think creating opportunities for women to grow, supporting and celebrating the accomplishments of other females and other humans just in general, and then also being each other. We just had a baby shower, not for a mom to be, but for a dad to be. And I think that that's pretty profound, because no matter who you are, you're still becoming a parent.
Right.
That's in today's world, that's a whole nother set of, right, another show, right, that we could talk about. So I think treating all humans the same, living with respect, right? I don't know if you saw recently, I shared something on LinkedIn that's talked about how I think respect is earned, but that doesn't mean I can't be respectful to my fellow human. And that is, I think, that one of the tenets, and it's one of our core values, is respect. So support and develop each other and cheer each other on.
It's spectacular. I think I've learned a lot. I'm going to add that inclusive language into my own daily speaking, like with talking as a human. One thing that I read about you is that the awareness and the education that you do to teach children about trucking. You mentioned early in this conversation, if it's the elementary level, the high school level, or the college university level, that's something I feel it's definitely lacking. I know myself, I never knew that truck driving or even getting into logistics was a path, a career path for me. I did my school, I did accounting, that didn't work out, and then and then I ended up in logistics. That's why I always ask at the beginning that, how did logistics find you? I hope that we can get to a spot one day where it was like, I went to school for this. I wanted to do this. I wanted to be working transportation. Getting back to the children and the work that you guys do at like different elementary schools and high schools, what kind of messages are you guys trying to share? Any kind of stories? And what kind of feedback are you getting, whether it be like children, from the students or the teachers or the professors from that aspect?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm so glad you asked me. I believe that, like, yeah, I got to be honest with you, I didn't really realize how important trucking was until I was, like, let's call it 30, right? Because prior to that, I knew higher education, I knew teaching humans, I was a bartender when I was in college, right? That's what I knew. And then after I came here, and I quickly realized that everything I'm wearing, my coffee, right, which fuels my life, my food, the medicine I take, everything I use and consume on a daily basis goes on the back of the truck at some point. It was like a light bulb went off. And I'm like, well, damn, why wasn't I taught that in school? So not that you can't reach the middle, the high school, the university level. And I'm so glad that supply chain and logistics is now a career path, right? We've done a really good job of fully integrating with the universities in our back door. My alma mater, University of South Florida, right? They have a supply chain program, right? So it's a natural connection for us to be involved in that. But if you get in front of the littles, as I call them, the elementary schools, what I used to do, and this is one of the things that unfortunately has been kind of negatively impacted by the pandemic, for a while it wasn't safe for us to go into schools, and we're very mindful of not putting anyone in risk's way. But when you take a tractor trailer, a truck driver, and I go into the classroom first and I take like an apple, a toy, a book, clothing, right? Tell them to look up. So what went on the truck? And they're like, oh, none of that goes in the truck. And I'm like, all of it. And then I say that same thing, everything you eat today, everything you wear. And they're like, what? And then you let a kid get in a tractor trailer, right? You have a hero for life. And what you have done is you have built an advocate. I also teach them about truck safety, by the way. How long does it take a fully loaded tractor trailer weighing 80,000 pounds in ideal road conditions going 65 miles an hour to come to a complete stop? And I love sports, so I equated to football. And they're like, oh, don't cut off tractor trailers, right? If you're behind a tractor trailer, they can't see you. And they're like, so then they teach the parents, and they teach their friends, and they teach their cousins. And it's like that game, where everybody kind of knows. That's the future of trucking to me. Start when they're young, teach them that the trucking industry is as essential as medical, right? Truck stop, I don't eat, and I love to eat, right? Truck stop, I don't get my medicine, and I need that. Truck stop, I don't get to do what I want to do. And that, I see a whole paradigm shift. It's, oh my gosh, I get it now. So that's what I love to do.
It's spectacular, just being able to have those conversations with kids and let them know that way. Because I tell people that, and sometimes they laugh that, hey, we keep the world going, like we're a little bit more important from there. There's often terms that's thrown around, success. Um, in your own terms, what does success looks like for yourself, whether it be compared to maybe 5 years ago or 6 years when you first got into the industry?
Yeah, I think success is very relative and subjective to the human. I measure success in a few ways, right? One is by the growth and development of those around me. So if I am a good leader, then therefore my number one priority should be to grow the humans that I call my teammates. I should be training my replacements. I want them to be better than I am. I want them to take over the world, right? That is best case scenario for me. Now, personally, I believe in PDPs, so personal development plans. You can't see, but to my side here, I have a dream board set up where each year I do an exercise and I visualize my goals, what I want to accomplish in 2023, and I stare at them every day. And it's kind of like that gut check. And the other thing that I'm going to say, if you don't have a solid accountability partner in your life, I highly recommend you get one. And not someone who's just going to pet you and tell you you're pretty. That's right. We need that. I'm not hating on that. Sometimes we need to be built back up. But in terms of my growth, I want somebody who's going to hold me accountable and like call me on my crap. I mean, you set one of your goals, or I don't see you really working to grow. I want somebody who's going to gut check me. And that's the true nature of an accountability partner. So am I accomplishing my goals? Am I developing those around me? And am I growing my organization? Because I'm smart enough to realize if my organization is not growing, I am not growing. The trucking industry isn't growing, I am not growing, right? And all those things.
Yeah, I was smiling before when you were talking about the children and talking about how their food gets there and the tractor trailers. It brought me back to a time when I was in school, and I'm going way back, where we used to have the fire engines come by and all the kids were like, oh, this is great. And you climbed in it and you saw, and they tooted the horn and saw the ladders and everything. With this generation, and this as well, there's not too many of them jumping in the seats of, the next generation that's retiring right now. And wouldn't that be a hoot if you could get a tractor trailer to pull into an elementary school, and have the kids climb in, and you see the sleeping pad, hopefully it's clean, and the rest of the trailers and stuff like that. I think that that would be pretty awesome to do something like that. With the collaboration and what you were talking about before, that hit a nerve with me, and I just want to go back to that. It's so important to do cross training within the company and learning everybody's role. And it's not about whether it's a he or she. It's about an individual. It's about a human who's sitting in that seat, that when you develop those people, you want to get them to a point where they're much smarter than you. They always say hire people smarter than you, because you are what they are, per se. And if you do your job right, you have the right people in the right place at the right time. what kind of programs at ReedTMS are you implementing that's different from other companies out there? And you've been out there and you've gone to these conventions and stuff like that, and what you've heard and seen. What's special about ReedTMS?
So you mentioned cross training. Obviously, that learning and development is what I went to school for. It's what I do. It's my passion. We have a couple different training programs that we've built that kind of challenge an employee to sit in multiple seats. And as they sit in each of those seats, they learn the function. Because, there's this natural kind of, we'll call it tension, to be politically correct, between operations and sales. By their very nature, they are designed to protect different groups of humans, right? If you're in a sales or a customer-facing role, your job is to advocate for the customer. If you're in an operational role, your job is to advocate for the carrier. And that's how it should be, right? But both of those groups of humans need each other to kind of do their job. And the ops or the salesperson who gets what the other side of the street goes through are the most successful, because it's really easy to say, well, why can't you find a truck? Man, you try to find a truck going into Denver, Colorado in the middle of winter and it's a bottled water load, right? Or onboard a new customer. You try to onboard a customer in this market, right? By all means, have at it. So I think the more humans know about what other people do, that's key. And programs like that are what drives success.
So perfect, because you get that collaboration. Everybody knows what they're doing. We're all spoke on the wheel, right? So if we can all kind of play our part and work together, we'll keep that wheel turning. Last question for you, Eileen. When it comes to, I love the word human. I keep going back to it. So like I said, it's really, really big to me. Like I've mentioned that you are a big supporter of women in trucking, and what we do here with our season is empowering women into logistics. How can men and women support each other so that we can change basically the face of the industry itself?
Yeah, so I think the one is by the first thing you have to do is kind of embrace that our industry has changed. I can imagine, if you've been in this industry for 30, 40, 50 years, how much it's changed. I know how much it's changed since 2016. So I think that, with as much as and as quickly as our world is changing, you have to kind of embrace change.
Yes.
And instead of viewing it as an obstacle, you have to view it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the mindset, right? Just when we figure out best successful way of doing something, the market shifts, or right, something about our industry shifts, and we're like, okay, so that is canceled. Now we're kind of embracing this new way of life. And I think, again, it comes to how can we support and take care of each other? How can we create a culture that builds people up and not breaks them down? And this is never done, by the way. You can't just suddenly go, up, check, we're inclusive, we're done work. It is a constant change. And anybody, like the second I think I know it all, please walk me outside. There's no way to know it all. And that's one of the beautiful things about this industry is it is amazing. Get in it. None of your days will ever look the same. And I sort of love that.
Okay, that is perfect. So we can't thank you enough for taking your day out of your time to spend it with us. How can let the people know? How can we get a hold of you? You definitely are a pioneer for everything that we stand for, and as well that you stand for, and the team as well at ReedTMS Logistics.
Yeah, so connect with me on LinkedIn. And what I would say, start with yourself and kind of challenge yourself to think about how can I support and develop another human today, and kindness goes a long way, especially when thinking about truck drivers. Be kind. When you pick up the phone and it is a truck driver, please, because you could be the only human they talk to in a day, and you could be the only human who is kind to them in a day. So, don't lose sight of that. Be a good human. Period.
And we'll just end off on that. So I want to thank you again for coming out this morning, spend your time with us. I want to thank the audience because, it was popping this morning. So everybody, I saw a lot of comments that people definitely couldn't wait. So they waited from like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doing nothing, refreshing. Maybe we go on early, do a live episode early. So we definitely need to bring you back in the future to kind of get your thoughts on different subjects as well. And like I said, Jeff and I would definitely love to learn more about the Accelerate conference. I believe it happens every November or September around that area. I think it's in Texas this year. So I want to get out there and definitely see that. So if you found value in this, which I know you did, Please like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, share this with a neighbor. There's so much that we can do, and there's so much that we can learn from this episode. With that being said, we'll hit the replay at 2 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Want to thank our corporate sponsor, Daman at Centurion Trucking and American Logistics. If you're a sales rep looking for a new place to go and have some fun where they put people over profits, hit Daman up. They're looking for agents across North America, paying up to 60% GP. Cowboy, take us home, my man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eileen, for joining us this morning and taking a little bit of time out of your busy day. We appreciate it very, very much. Hopefully, like Ryan said, you'll come back and join us soon in the very, very near future. We have a full week, guys, out there. We're talking about empowering women into logistics. We're not done yet. Please check us out on Sales Chatter Live at 11 a.m. daily Eastern Standard Time. And with that said, have a great day. Cowboy out.